Oh God, why? Ugh. What were you thinking, Lavochkin? What were you thinking? Alright, well, I guess it's that time. Welcome back to War Thunder, and more specifically this thing, the La-11. I would like to make a disclaimer and say that I absolutely despise later Lavochkin fighters, specifically the La-9. I can deal with the La-7 and the La-7B-20, that's fine. Oh, the La-9, I just hate it, and this plane just makes it worse. Anyway, since that is out of the way, let's start with the X-ray. Mounted in the front is a single M82 FN 14-cylinder air-cooled radial engine weighing 850 kilograms. Right behind that, you have three NS-23 23mm cannons with a maximum of 225 rounds, or 75 rounds per gun. As well as in between those guns is the oil cooling system. The plane has 5 fuel tanks, all of which are self-sealing with neutral gas pressurization systems. And that's just about it for the X-ray. On to the armor. You have, as frontal protection, a 55mm thick piece of bulletproof glass, and in the back you have an 8.5mm thick steel plate behind the pilot, as well as a 66mm thick piece of bulletproof glass in the back as well. And that just about does it for all the X-ray and armor of the plane. Now onto how it flies and its characteristics in that flight. Now, what I found out with the La-11 is that it just feels heavy. The La-11 was designed as a modification of the La-9, and it has less guns, but more fuel to make it a long-range escort fighter. And it's supposed to function at high altitude, which, I mean, it does. Much to my dismay that I try and climb, and by the time I reach the altitude that I am, supposed to be at, most of the enemies die. And it seems like this is a common theme where I'll just climb up and then everyone will be dead by the time I get to combat. Side climbing up, as, if you do, you just side climb, you don't have to climb at a bunch of Spitfires. So yeah, I climb up and I side climb, and either A, my entire team is dead because I wasn't there in time to help them, or the entire enemies are dead because they decided to turn fight a bunch of Russians at low altitude, and I have to dive down, and yeah, it's not something that is very easily done. So usually, I've started to hang around mid-altitude so that I'm above a lot of the allies that I have at low altitude who are, doing energy fighting at low altitudes and sort of just mocking the allies' incompetence. And, not my allies, the allies, as in US pilots' incompetence, and, just making fun of them and being up there to support them while not being too high so that I have to spend, like, 3 minutes diving down without ripping my wings. So yeah, I mean, that's usually the playstyle, is I just sit at mid-altitude, around 10,000, 7,000 feet-ish, not like 30,000 feet or, not at like 2,000. So I sit around like 7,000 feet, or around 3k meters, I think, would be something even to that. And with that, that will give me enough time to support, because that's usually what I do. I just manage to support people with this plane. And the biggest thing about it is that it's just a little heavy, a little immaneuverable compared to what I'm used to. And overall, I mean, it's not terrible, okay? I'm not gonna say this plane is absolutely awful and terrible and you should never buy it. I mean, shouldn't buy it, but that's not the point. The point is that it actually does something good eventually, and I was having, at the very beginning, I hated it. I went in hating it because I hate the La-9. Then I realized that the spaded performance of this plane is actually okay and decent. And with that, I was like, oh, well, this is alright. I kind of like this plane. And then I realized, wait a second. No, I don't. It was sort of like a vacation love, like, oh, wow, I like this plane a little bit because it's different. And then I learned that I actually don't like it. I was just sort of trying to pretend like I liked it when I don't actually do. And that's because I like Yaks better. I'm more of a Yak person, Yak 3s more specifically, because they're just good. Like, they have low rip speeds, they'll rip fast, but like, I mean, they're maneuverable, they roll well, I mean, you still got the centrally mounted cannons, just a little bit less ammo, but this plane is just... I don't like the NS-23s. I know that the Yak 15P is one of my favorite planes. It's just, if the Yak 15P had B-20s, and 2 of them, gorgeous, it'd be the best plane ever. It's just, these guns are just different, okay? Now that I've got the altitude that I usually sit at, in mid-altitude, not high, not too low, the guns, I just can't get the aim down on. Like, they're just so difficult for me. And most of my kills have just been killing people who are either inattentive or don't know what they're doing. And overall, that's basically how I've done it. And that's basically what you gotta do. You just gotta either support people and kill tunnel visioned enemies, or go after people who just don't know how to play the game. And that's just about most of the tips I can give for this plane. It just, overall, I just don't know what to say about it. I've managed to get it to dive at a maximum speed of 443 knots, 509 miles per hour, or 820 kilometers per hour, if that's what you want as a max speed. That's what I've gotten. Indicated airspeed is 820 kilometers per hour. I'm sure it can go faster, but that's what the red line is towards. And past that speed, you have almost no maneuverability, so don't bother. Listen to that train out there. Well, I'm fucking doing a pre-recorded video. Oh, shit. Oh, well. You know, this plane doesn't... I just don't, okay? I'll just sit here, and I'll just shit on this plane for like 8 minutes straight. Because I'm not taking breaks in like, past the X-ray part. This is just one full-length recording. There's no breaks in between this. Because I'm just trying to do something a little different, trying to experiment more with different styles, and... I just have to be frank and say that if you're going to get a Tier 4 premium Russian plane, this isn't one you should get. You should get the La-7B, or Doglushkin's La-7, because that plane is fun to fly, it's got good ammo count. It's just the low battle rating means you get lower rewards with it, but at least it's fun to fly. Or if you want a challenge, get the VK-107, because the VK-107 is a challenge. It can be fun, especially if you have more than one person in it. And that's just about all I have to say about this plane, is that, I mean, it's decent. You can do good in it. You can do well in it. It's just not the most fun for me. If you like the LA9, go right ahead. But if not, well, don't bother.